How we doing? It is supposed to be 17 degrees tomorrow when I go on my run in the morning. When I go do probably about 90 minutes at a math pace, right? So that means somewhat slow for me right now, right? So um, how do you dress, right? How do you dress? I don't know. Let's see what I got in a bag. Oh, hello. Hold on. Yep. Miss Danger, always in the house. All right, let's see. What do we have? All right. We'll do the unveiling, and then I will work on. Oh, hold on. Let's get this head adjusted. All right. What do we got? Long sleeve shirt for some sort of wicking material. Short sleeve shirt, some sort of wicking material. Depending on what it feels like right before I go on my, like right when I'm taking off, will depend on if I'm wearing which one of these I wear, or if I would end up wearing both of them. A couple different pairs of socks. Here's the pro tip, right? I am a huge fan of wool socks. Smartwool was my go-to brand for years. A lot of good brands out on the market. Pro tip is wear a pair of thin socks. I used to have silk socks, which were the best things ever, right? Silk socks are, really, really thin socks, and then like your insulating socks underneath. What those thin ones are gonna do is they'll wick the moisture off your feet. Even if your feet get wet, they'll pull that away, and it creates a double layer of air in there to keep your feet warm. If you do that though, make sure you're wearing the right size shoe, right? Super constrictive clothing and shoes actually are gonna make you colder. Insulating layer, right? This is like a medium insulating layer. This for me, because I tend to run pretty hot, works really, really well. Some of you may need something a little bit heavier. Some sort of wind shell, something that is waterproof or water resistant, wind resistant. That's it's going to keep the wind off of you. Okay. A little fanny pack, and carry the essentials, keys, usually some sort of camera. Running tights. I may actually go find my heavy running tights. These ones are pretty good, but when you start getting down below 20 with a higher wind, these get a little bit rough, so I might have to go dig out my heavier ones for tomorrow. But obviously something to cover those legs. Cap, right? Cover the ears, cover the head. And what else we got? Standard water bottle, handheld. And then second pro tip is, we'll get to the gloves, right? Neck gaiter or a buff, something that you can wrap around your neck, pull up over your ears. It's a pretty versatile sort of thing. Second pro tip, thin gloves, right? Thin or medium weight gloves. Fingers, these are pretty beat up and they still keep my hands warm. With mittens, some sort of over mitten, right? An over mitten that is windproof and water resistant, that the air in between is like just, I've been in 10 degrees and lower with these and my hands were perfectly fine. Once again, the key is to not have them too tight. If you wear too thick of gloves and the mittens aren't sized for them, your hands will be colder, right? So you want to make sure that you have that paired up properly. And then what else do I got in my little grab bag? Last but not least, the good old heart rate monitor. That is my run kit. I'll make a prettier display for you guys and post it up for you. All right, let's go through it. You have a little bit better view, maybe hit some of the features on why I choose each one of these. We'll start and we'll work from the feet up. Okay. Socks. All right, I've got two pair here. Thinner pair of Smartwool, a thicker pair, thank you Vertical Runner, of a synthetic blend, both of which are wicking. I am a huge fan of wool because even when it gets wet, it's going to keep you warm. Like I said earlier, I go with a thin pair and then a thicker pair over top. Make sure they're sized so that you're not constricted. Some sort of leg coverings, right? Whether that are running tights, just running pants. They're going to be a little bit. They're not going to be loose like cotton jogging pants or anything. If they are tight, you want to make sure that they're going to pull any moisture off of you. And please don't do that. Thank you. Pull any moisture off of you, cover you up. If you tend to run really cold, you're going to want to have a thicker pair, and you may want to look for something that is windproof in the front to keep all the good bits nice and toasty. A couple different shirt options: short sleeve shirt, long sleeve shirt. These are next to skin layers, meaning that these are the layers that you want them to be a little bit thinner, and once again, you want that to pull the moisture away from you. Just depending on how cold it is and what the weather conditions are like, I'll choose one of them, or I may even double them up if it's really cold out. Feature that I really like are what in the military we call hobo gloves, right? So your little thumb holes, so that sleeve can be pulled all the way down, hook on that thumb, and that makes sure that you don't get a draft coming up that wrist, and then you can layer gloves on top of that. On top of the wicking layer, you're going to go with a insulation layer, right? Something that's a little bit thicker. This actually has the hobo kind of glove inside, and then this piece comes and actually wraps around the top part of your hand. It's a nice little feature. I'm a huge fan of the mock turtleneck with a zip that I can unzip to let some ventilation in there. One thing I didn't mention earlier, right, is making sure that whatever you are wearing, you've got some options to get some ventilation in case you start overheating. It's one of the last things. People don't think about it when it's cold out, but you start exerting yourself. One of the last things you want to do is overheat and start sweating bad, because that's going to actually make you really, really cold. So we've gone socks, pants, wicking layer, insulation layer, and then you want something to protect you from the elements. I got a few different jacket options I should have grabbed. Maybe I'll make a separate post. Just picked this up from Mountain Hardwear. It's like their Ghost Light shell. It is highly wind and water resistant, super lightweight. I don't know how breathable it is, so I can't really speak to it. I think I'm going to try that out tomorrow. I've got a little bit heavier jacket that I will sometimes wear, or sometimes even just a vest if there's not going to be much precipitation. Other essential items are what I feel are essential when we're talking about cold weather running. Something to carry, something around the neck that can be pulled up around your ears. This is a neck gaiter from Lulu. Buff makes some really nice products that will wrap around that neck and are really, really versatile. Just something to help kind of block that wind. Instead of one big heavy pair of gloves, I am a fan of having, once again, Smartwool wool gloves. Right? These are really thin. There's not a whole lot to these, which is one of the reasons why these are frayed. They're more than a few seasons old. That allow me to keep my hands dexterous, so if I want to stop and take some pictures and that kind of stuff. These will keep my hands warm, and then I have these outer shells that go on top of them. Windproof, water resistant. The key is to make sure that these are sized big enough that your hands have room to move inside them. If they're scrunched up, you're just going to get cold. Last but not least, a beanie. Right? Something to cover that bald head, keep the ears warm, can be pulled back, can be pulled off. And then, non-essential items that I generally carry with me. A little fanny pack to, carry some essentials, car keys, and camera, maybe some nutrition, water bottle, handheld. So that's the running kit that I tend to work with. You know, it'll adjust here and there, you know, depending on exactly what the weather's like. When it's cold, like below freezing and wet, it doesn't really bother me too much because the snow tends to be easier to deal with than when it's just above freezing and raining. That 40 degrees and raining tends to be hard because no matter what you do, you're going to get soaked. All right, have fun out there.